What about if I put Neo, for example, neo.net, but like a .au? I mean, Gilbert Verdian's from, Australia. And guess what? This is something that came up, and I thought, wow, what the heck is this? And so I saw timestamps that dated back to, for example, 2001. Check this out. Let's full screen this. This is really interesting. Because as you see here, it's like, what does that say? Yeah, you see it plain as day. You see the Quant logo, for crying out loud. And this is that, back in 2001. Are you kidding me? As you see, it's really, really interesting because on this timestamp, November 28th of 2001, it says Neo Corporation, the new age of IT security. But more importantly, that is the darn Quant logo, for crying out loud. So what in the world is this? And why am I bringing it to you guys? Well, it goes on to mention that they believe in a close client relationship to provide latest security solutions. By growing together and change the market and changing, we are able to provide our latest to clients, so on and so forth, right? So I was like, well, I got to get a more of a stamp, a capture from the Wayback Time Machine that would show a little bit more. There's got to be something. So I went through all the, like with a fine-tooth comb through the haystack, if you will. And man, this is what I uncovered. Look at this. If you go to Wayback Time Machine and you go to neo.net.au/neo_portfolio_en.pdf, this pulls up. And from the screen capture of June 3rd, 2001. I mean, technically anybody could do this, but I didn't see on X that anybody did. Call it a bombshell, call it the mother of all, I don't know, call it a Moab, I don't know. But it is what it is. That, plain as day, is the Quant logo, is it not? And more importantly, look what it says. Neo Corporation, the new age of IT security. Company profile, complete security service. Quote, 90% of organizations with a connection to the internet rated their security as poor. Neo is the short and long-term solution to system security, being only one of a few companies in Australia to offer specialized security services that challenge and demonstrate the vulnerabilities and misconfigurations of supposed secure software solutions provided by vendors. Conventional security measures by product vendors only entail the installation and support of software, whereas Neo tests the validity and weaknesses of those security claims. Where Neo differs to offer to other defense strategies, is the application and long-term sustainment of a customized system audit. Remember how we talked about Quant Authorize? Quant, the military, the matrix, and how about this? The web moving forward. Literally, the new web moving forward. No, I'm not referring to Web 3. And we'll cite a reference from Constellation DAG in regard to the Department of Defense in that regard. So the military, the matrix, the new web. Yeah, this is another example of how I feel as though, with research, that QNT will be the most expensive token in history. Maybe some of you guys get tired of me mentioning that. If anything, this is an update in regard to all three topics. Consider smashing that like if you haven't done so already. Man, oh man, we're going to get into all the material and why it matters to you.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Decent Wallet. So just a few taps, you can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Decent Wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.
Here we go. So first thing is this. It's a reference, believe it or not, from the Quant Network. Here we go. It mentions specifically this. 1993, we basically had what? We had the World Wide Web. And it's a wide area hypermedia information that retrieves initiation of aiming to give universal access to large universe of documents. Been there and done that. But with the Quant Network, they have the Internet Trust, network of interconnected distributed networks to transact value. As pointed out, November 20th of 2018. Welcome to the Internet of Trust. Not the Internet of Value, the Internet of Trust. At least then, Quant Overledger has the potential to deliver the web across interconnected distributed networks. As with the inception of the Internet back in 93, we are at the start of something big. What about that next era of that something? So, take you more into this. We all know about the Matrix for the most part, unless you've been living under a rock or maybe a black rock. Neo, also known as the One, is basically a fictional character, protagonist, of course, of the Matrix. But the point is, referred to as the One. He was a cyber criminal and a computer programmer. But whatever the case be, this whole thing of Quant and the Matrix, hence why you saw a little bit of that intro. Take you more into this. Who cites some of these key things about being the One? A couple years ago, Gilbert Verdian pointed out that are we coincidentally heading down this path with O1 AI? And what is O1 AI? Well, basically speaking, we're going to point that out here in a bit, but his quote pounds home a lot of things. And he states, artificial intelligence exponentially grew in O1 and eventually led to the creation of newer, more advanced AI, reaching technological singularity. Venture capitalist and author Kai-Fu Lee has built an AI startup in China. It's worth $1 billion after less than 8 months. Of course, that was pointed out by Bloomberg a couple years ago. But check this out for size, just in case you're not aware of it. Go to o1.ai. It points out Wanji, enterprise LLM platform. It's an enterprise DeepSeek deploy customized solution. As you see here, it says make AI work. Now, of course, I'm not trying to do so much of a deep dive on specifically this, which I might do so in the future. But whatever the case be, understand that when you see things with the terminology about Lightning Global SOTA, mixture of experts, LLM, and basically open source and how it's accessible and beneficial to everyone in a controlled state such as China, kind of makes you raise your eyes a little bit, or your eyebrows, in possible angst or maybe disgust, or thinking to yourself, how is this going to be part of the decentralized world moving forward? Well, it's like this. Back to this. What is O1? And of course, taking more into why this matters. Because even in this clipping, shout out to Quant Papa, he points out this. Approximately 6 centuries later, only a handful of free humans, according to the Matrix, remains to resist the sentience. Surrounding the city was an immense armada of crab-like defenders, hence the Sentinels, right? Hovercrafts, of course, approach. And the central part of the city housed Deus Ex Machina, who leads in sentient activity. On 2670, approximated, Neo confronted Deus Ex Machina and forged a truce in exchange for stopping the virus, which is Smith, from devastating sentient kind. This finally ended the multi-century spanning machine war. A lot of doom and gloom going on in the world. I'm not trying to make this controversial, but trying to point out some things that might be, let's face it, a little interesting. Take you to this part. Go Verify. They were at the time fighting fraud by providing a new way to verify the phone calls, emails, texts, letters you receive, which are from the organizations they say they are from. And then there's, of course, the whole thing of Sentinel. As we point out also, when it comes to the Quant Network logo, well, doesn't this logo look a lot like basically the Sentinel? Yeah, the little squid looking thing, right? Absolutely. Where the case be, let's jump more back into this and why it matters to you. Sentinel discovers new business insights, again, by linking machine activity to human behavior. Again, Quant Network, Gilbert Verdian, the obsession with the Matrix. As we see here, the core tech components, well, Go Verify allows people, of course, to verify, but also Overledger with Authorize does that as well, does it not? Here's a clipping from Quant Papa in regards to specifically this topic of Arpanet. And if anything, I have that music video talking about cash rules everything around me, right? Cream get the money, dollar bill, y'all. But in those visuals, you will see at the end the whole concept of the Arpanet. So January 1st, 1983, Arpanet builds the network of networks. And so it began, the internet big bang. It was a top-down release of the tech. I want you guys to understand this. When we talk about network of networks, how many times do you see the Quant network mention network of networks? How many times do you see Swift mention network of networks? How many times do you see the concept from other blockchains talking about a network of networks? We're talking about one unified ledger. But in reality, it's one unified shared ledger. The Internet of Value, something like your Ripple XRP. Internet of Trust, something like your QNT. Let's take you further into this rabbit hole, if you want to call it that. Let's take you to this part. It says Arpanet was in fact adopted with TCP/IP on January 1st, 1983. And from there, researchers began to assemble the network of networks that became the modern Internet. The online world then took on a more recognizable form in 1990 when computer scientist Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web. Think about that statement. And also think about, for example, Quant Network always collaborating with who? The Internet Engineering Task Force, the pioneers of the Internet. Take you to this next particular slide. The new web is matrix of blockchains, hence why Quant's original name before Remit was NEO. The enable transfer of value and trust. Again, a unified shared ledger. Jesse, or Apex Crypto Consulting NFA, has done a really great job of explaining that in his deep dives. Next part I want to jump into is this. It's the whole topic of treaty contracts, cross-blockchain contracts, treaty contracts. What about military and treaties? Lock and load that particular thing into your brain, because guess what? As we get further into this outline, you'll see how Constellation Day plays a key role with the whole entire outline I'm bringing to you guys. Let's take it to this part. Let's get into some more key things in regard to the findings and, of course, why it matters to you. And that, of course, I've shared this before. Trudera, make business sense of IT. Our technology, Sentinel. Interesting. Sentinel is a scalable enterprise monitoring and resource visibility platform that enables an enterprise to truly see what is consuming its IT resources by measuring and forecasting the performance and capacity of the entire estate using unique monitoring, historic, and analytics engines. Learn more at sentinel.io. Well, you can't, because technically speaking, it's not even around anymore. Jump more into it. What does it say here? Sentinel, go verify. Salience AI. What have we seen a lot lately in regard to Quant? I call this, shout out to Channing Harrell, King Channing. He pointed out to me, hey, Max, guess what? Remember how you talked about a year ago or more that we would hear a lot about Quant AI? I agree with him. That aged very well. So I jump more into this and why it matters to you. Take a look at this. Trudera, Crunchbase. How many times have we cited Crunchbase? You see here, founded back in August 1st, 2010. Founders are, in fact, Colin Paterson and Gilbert Verdian. And like it says at the time, it was for profit. Okay. Is that it? No. Because even in the Wayback Time Machine, we see this. And I'm referring, of course, to not Quant Network, because I'm banned from them on Wayback Time Machine, but not banned on everything on Wayback Time Machine. So we see, like it says, Meet Sentinel, Smart Transformation, Enterprise Value Monitoring, and Cyber Sentinel. Take you further into this and why it matters. Smart Transformation, our unique data-driven transformation approach. And you see plain as day the Quant Network logo, and like it says, Trudera, Smart Transformation. How about some other things in context? How this is all on here. And again, I apologize. It looks blurry and so on. These are old documents taken obviously with a person's cell phone. Sentinel was built by Trudera. And again, Quant Network logo. Interesting. Again, why point out any of this and why does it matter to you? Well, for one, this arrow of Trudera using AI, again, AI to make business sense. Points up to the top left in regards to Trudera, and then again, that's the Quant Network logo. And here's the whopper of them all. I pointed this out in the other video, but nonetheless, there's a lot of new people. Salience is in fact the world's first cyber AI. I'll state it again. World's first, not worst, cyber AI. And look what it says. In the citation, it says using AI to obtain cyber superiority only for military and government agencies. Now, why would that be? Why would that be? I mean, there's just something there. There's something in regard to Quant behind the scenes. We've done a lot of deep dives when it comes to Quant Network. Talked about, for example, the United Nations connections. And of course, I've done the military connections. And we know about Constellation DAG partnership with Quant Network. We'll get into somewhat of a newer video of the CEO of Constellation DAG. But where the case be, I want to get more into this and make it flow a little bit better. Hence, like the Quant Network with Quant Flow. I mentioned Constellation DAG. And of course, on May 14th, Constellation Network co-founder Benjamin Diggles, who a lot of you guys are familiar with, had, of course, been working, or has been working, I should say, with who? The Department of Defense, DoD, on blockchain initiatives for the past 6 years. One of his key messages was, at least this time, of being, or bending, the whole thing of America to keep close eye on China's blockchain service network. Again, back to why I was sharing some of those things about China earlier. Again, I don't just throw you guys little things and not come back to it. So, drastically outpassing America's distributed ledger technology innovation efforts. In this video, Benjamin explains why this should be a top priority for America while sharing his experience in this field. All right. So my thing is this. I highly encourage you guys to go to Constellation DAG's official YouTube and watch the whole thing. But I decided to fast forward to this key area where it can make sense to you on how we bring in Quant Network into the mix, especially, right, when you see the statements of Salience, the world's first cyber AI, and of course, only for military and government agencies. Let's go ahead and play this. Here we go.
And that's why I love partners like Panasonic. Gosh, I want to name so many other logos, but I can't right now because they're not out. But I love these folks that are coming to us and saying, yeah, we'll do this right now. And in fact, we're also interested in learning more about digital assets to butt up against our traditional finance and figure out a way that it could be additive. And this is why I'm able to pull in these tier one exchanges and say, hey, let's get weird. Let's get right. Let's do the right thing on behalf of this movement. Because right now, I'm telling you point blank, as a guy that talks to Fortune 500 companies all the time, they don't trust Web3 because everything we see in the news is shenanigans. Fartcoin just got pulled for $2 billion. People got their asses handed to them. It's like, wait a minute, I'm sorry. This is a strategic technology for the future? It is. It just needs to be explained a lot better. And so I know I came into this hot. I almost probably seem a little bit manic because it shows you where my energy is in on this. But I really wanted to deliver this message today just about how Constellation is in one of the best positions we've ever been. And it's been a long road. I mean, we had a stagnant market cap for a really long time, and people reaching out to me, you got to do something. I'm like, nobody's trying harder than me. But it's not about that, right? We may not have the biggest market cap out there, but we have the trust of the legacy. Therefore, we have what I think is the ball and the power play for the next wave of adoption and growth in an industry that right now continues to be laden with shenanigans, and it's driving me somewhat nuts. So that's one thing, but I will leave you on this. This is probably the statement that I want everybody to understand that is so near and dear to my heart, is that we're not building technology that's going to change the world. We're building technology that is meeting a changing world. We wouldn't need blockchain if the central internet wasn't lackluster, if it was secure, if applications were doing what they're supposed to, if companies were honest and not doing things like allowing Siri to listen to you for 10 years and saying, oh, we're sorry, before this gets worse, we're gonna pay $95 million to make it go away. That's lame, man, and I'm over it, right? I think all of us are, where corruption and data leaks and these spams, all this crap has become common stance that you really can't even trust anything you see on a computer anymore. And I think that's where we're gonna get as a society, is we're gonna get into a moment where people are gonna be like, if I don't see that check mark and I'm not able to interact with it, I don't trust it. And I really implore most of you to look at it that way. If you see it on a screen, don't trust it until you've backed into validation. Unfortunately, we as humans are gullible enough to believe what we see first. And if we have the energy or effort to take the time to see if it's even real or fact check it, we can, but most people don't. This is why headline gotcha journalism works so much. They can just say something with all the details in the article, and people will believe the headline before even reading what the context is over that headline. So while I know this seemed like a little bit of a State of the Union, like, oh my God, like China's eating our lunch, I want folks to get excited that we are in a very interesting pocket as a company. And I don't believe there's one blockchain to rule them all. I'm really, really encouraging others to step up and get involved in the government, because there's such a big pie. And this is one thing I want to say to the community when they see a competitor like, oh, did you know these guys are doing this on chain and they're doing this? Great, let's applaud them. How can we support them? You know, this is such a big industry. I'm not like, oh man, we need to worry about competition. The pie is huge right now. So I'll leave you with that. We are not building technology that's changing the world. We're building technology that's meeting a changing world. And never has there been more of a demand for provable guarantees and digital evidence on communications data to restore trust in a time where trust has never been so low.
Think about what you just mentioned. Seems very similar to what Quant went through when, again, a lot of people were creating a lot of the FUD of like, there's nothing going on here. The market cap is not where it should be. But again, this whole thing of trust moving forward, again, that's what's important. Internet of trust. So taking more into this and why it matters, I want you guys to see another key thing. And I think I might have showed this on the previous video I did about a year ago or more. But look at the building, okay? So for one, this is the Comcast building, okay? Some of you guys who live in New York have been here, all right? So again, the Comcast building. Well, why does this matter? We'll get to that. So compare the buildings, for example. You have, for example, the Comcast building. You have Rockefeller Center, so on and so forth, right? And if anything, when we look into Salience, well, Salience, when they used to have their site up, points out this. Salience is the world's first, of course, cyber AI, powered by Sentinel. Again, all these matrix references, right? Salience learns and understands what is normal in your enterprise, finding the unknowns that traditional security tools can't detect. Again, going through the whole matrix and trying to find the disruptors, your neos, and the one who's going to save everybody, right? But find out now, or at least then, or how Salience could protect your organization. Salience.ai. Now, Salience.ai is still up, and that's called humanize or humanize. Anyway, I think eventually Quant Network will learn about that. I called that a long time ago. I called also, obviously, Oracle, KPMG. I called that way earlier. I called 2 years ago. Oracle, but it is what it is. Anyway, look here. So in the background, you see the building, right? Don't you think that's important? I think it is. And of course, what you see here, we are on a mission of bringing intelligent AI to the enterprise. Again, these buildings, shout out to Rue Black. He always points out symbolism has meaning. And look at this. So, I think that's, of course, worth pointing out. What about this? All right, check this out for a second. So for one, the thing I want to bring to you guys is this for a second, okay? So for one, remember how we just talked about, for example, the Comcast guy? Yeah, Comcast. Because basically speaking, you have Neil Smith, board director, deep knowledge on internet networks, and no doubt great contacts as well. Again, some of you guys are like, man, I don't get this. It's going past your head. Hear me out. Stay the course. Previously CEO of Comcast for 7 years, CEO of Charter Communications, regional president at Nabisco, and president of Time Warner's America Online Access, overseeing AOL, CompuServe, and Netscape. He was also vice chairman of Comcast Corporation, board director of C-SPAN, previously served with the United States Navy SEALs, lieutenant commander, 5 years or more. I mean, this is pretty impressive, right? Master of Science from Tufts University, Fletcher School of Law, Diplomacy. All right, so earlier we talked about, for example, another key person connected to the Rockefellers. And this is a younger picture of Laura Veridian. Wow, beautiful lady, right? Strong track record and so on. And I have another outline I want to get into with her a little bit later. But whatever the case be, there's lots of people that we should put emphasis on, right? So let's take a look at this. And basically speaking, I pointed this out before, but this guy Dietrich, board director, and basically it's his credentials: 35 plus years of investment experience advising UHNW individuals, family offices, foundations, endowments. Previously managing director at Rockefeller Capital, UBS, and Morgan Stanley Smith Barney. Again, Rockefellers and Quant Network. I mean, come on. That is huge. You know, we pointed this out before in another deep dive about Quant and the Rockefellers, right? So, you know, it is what it is. I'm not a fan of the Rockefellers, but I do realize they're more than connected. Let's face it. I mean, they changed education as we know it, or knew it, I should say, for over 100 plus years at this particular point. So it is important to get into that. All right. The other thing I want to point out is this right here. Back to Salience. Again, back to that building, right? Well, tweets are protected, but I can still go into the Wayback Time Machine. Absolutely. And look what it says. Approved followers can see Salience AI's tweets. Well, I'm not an approved user, but anyway, I do my own research, try to help you guys understand that there's a bigger picture here when it comes to Quant Network. Look at the background photo of New York here, okay? And then compare this, of course, to what? Remit. So after Neo, we had Remit, and then after Remit, we had what? Quant Network. And look what it says here. On the old Remit site, we are creating new fintech products on top of Quant Overledger. We are first starting with Overledger operating system, the blockchain operating system. Overledger is a platform to create next generation multi-chain applications. Like it says, visit Quant. That's important. And as you take it to the next part, look at this. I mean, it's kind of old, and it's, again, from a guy's cell phone, so it doesn't look great. You know, some of this, the Inception program, NVIDIA. We are part of NVIDIA Inception program. What? That can't be real. Well, from what I gathered, yeah, it was a thing. And look at this. Sentinel. Sentinel discovers new business insights by linking machine activity to human behavior. Again, back to this whole thing about machines and human behavior. The United States is there. UK, Europe, and Australia. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe because ISO TC 307 Quant Network Standard? Yeah. How about this? They actually still technically have an X or Twitter. Sentinel discovers new business insights, again, by linking all that. Joined back in 2011. Haven't made a post since 2012. And again, at least then, they pointed out, find out how Sentinel is using big data to uncover performance, capacity, and security challenges on your network. All right, how about this for a moment? We jump more into this. You may be wondering, like, who in the world follows them? Who are some of the followers of Sentinel? Well, I want to point this out. One of the key followers is a guy you're going to see here, and I'll pull him up on the next particular page. Actually, not to that part yet. I apologize. But I want to point out this. Trudera. We are on a mission to bring intelligent AI, of course, to the enterprise. And again, in London, houses are, of course, protected and so on. Gee, I wonder why. But here's a key thing. When I looked more into both Trudera and, of course, what you saw earlier from Sentinel, this guy pops up. Cyberwar. A lot of talk about war lately, right? So this guy's at Cyberwar. He's an author, lecturer, consultant, right? But who is he really? Well, interesting to see that, again, if you look at the avatar, followed by Gilbert Verdian. Yeah, Gilbert Verdian. That's interesting, okay? And look what he posted. He had pinned back in 2022. I love the software service model. Gee, I wonder what one you might be referring to. We update the analyst dashboard continuously with new features, data structures, improvements. Here's what the Vendor Explorer page looks like today, at least then, okay? And as you see, constant references to the United States, constant references to even Israel, but again, even Hungary. So the ones that stand out, Israel, United States. I want to talk about Israel, United States lately. Call it coincidence, call it whatever you want. I do think it's important to recognize it. And of course, if you go over to his site, 4.4 error, because apparently it's not up no more. go to the Wayback Time Machine. What's important here is you see here IT Harvest Cyber Threat Intelligence Market Research Security Yearbook for 2020. Was there ever a 2025? Well, I'm ahead of you on that. We'll get into that in a second. But the guy that is technically Cyberwar, well, doxing him, all right? He is Richard Steinnon, author of Security Yearbook 2024, and even the one for 2025. Again, followed by who? Gilbert Verdian. That's interesting. Cybersecurity industry and now, analyst. This guy knows some things, right? We know about Quant and Palo Alto. He cites that. And for example, there's some real big things here. So this guy's an incredibly smart person. Gilbert Verdian doesn't just follow anybody. All right, check this out for a moment. If you go to this other site, Blue Sky, Richard Steinman talks about, at least I want to say as of April 30th, so not that long ago of this year, he says he devoted to signing copies of Security Yearbook 2025. Again, Gilbert Verdian, over 20 plus years in cybersecurity, right? First chance to grab a copy. I'm sure Gilbert owns this. Just calling that up. But again, this is interesting to see the connections of some of these key people on a bigger stage. And as we also see here it is literally from Google, the actual book. Richard Steinnon played his own part in the IT security industry starting back in 1995 at Netrix. They were one of the first MSSPs. No, I'm not talking about MISSISSI, PPI, Mississippi. He was a manager of technical risk services at PwC. PwC is a huge conglomerate, by the way, before being drafted into Gartner. Who doesn't know about Gartner at this point? In 2000 to cover the network security industry. Think about that. Wow. Guy's got some clout. He left Gartner in 2004 to join WebRoot Software as vice president of threat research. He has also had roles as chief marketing officer at Fortinet and chief strategy officer at Data Aerosure Company, Blanco Technology Group. He has an aerospace engineering background with the University of Michigan, dated back 1982. Geez, I was like 1 year old at that point. Turned historian, King's College London 2014, chief research analyst at IT Harvest, a software as a service solution for tracking the entire cybersecurity industry. That's why Gilbert Verdian follows this guy. And of course, numerous publications. All right, watch this. If you're to look up PwC or PricewaterhouseCoopers, a multinational professional services network, widely recognized as one of the big four accounting firms. It offers a range of services, including audit, assurance, tax, consulting to various industries. PwC operates through a network of firms in 140 countries with a global workforce of 370,000. My goodness. All right, look at this. Let's take you over to here. Why, again, point this out. So, for one, it is the second largest professional service network in the world, part of that big four, along with Deloitte, EY, and KPMG. How many times do we see Deloitte and EY also as participants in the same conferences with the Quant Network? How many times do we see KPMG sided with the Quant Network? And by the way, KPMG selected the Quant Network, and KPMG also had a collaboration with a particular news broadcast in regard to Oracle and KPMG, and again, Quant Network. That's a big deal. All right, next part we're going to get into is PwC global revenues. By the way, as of last October 2024, they rose to $55.4 billion. My goodness, why is that significant to you? Because the workforce grew to over 370 people, as I mentioned before, 149 countries, and look at what it says, who together serve 86% of the Fortune Global 500 companies. Remember back to the whole thing of the CEO of Constellation talking about how he talks to Fortune 500 companies all the time? The United States, $3.6 billion of new investment around the world, including $1.5 billion United States dollars worth to expand and scale our AI capabilities. Geez, this all aged well. How about this? Quant Network, Trudera. Look what it says. We're unlocking the power of blockchain for everyone by delivering interoperable ecosystems for real-world solutions. Trudera, we are on a mission to bring intelligent AI to enterprises. This other one, Sentinel, is following Trust Cloud. Sentinel discovers new business insights by linking machine activity to human behavior. I mean, see how it all comes together? And look at this. Amazing things Colin Paterson made. Go verify Sentinel Salience. Who's Colin Paterson? Used to be part of the Quant Network. And look what you see there. He was part of Trudera. He's your plug from Trudera/Quant Network. And also you see Gilbert Verdian. That's interesting. And the last part is this. From GoVerify.com, which we can't really go on there anymore, right? Wayback Time Machine we can. Quant Network didn't ban me from this one. They might at this particular point, but whatever the case be. I'm still banned from the Wayback Time Machine on Quant Network, and that's okay. I have nothing but respect for Gilbert. But Go Verify protects people from impersonation and deception fraud by validating the correspondence received from a trusted organization and is genuine without having to disclose any personal information. Go Verify calls, emails, texts, and letters. Get to the next part. We are fighting fraud by providing a new way to verify emails, texts, calls, invoices, and letters you receive from the organization they say they are from. And of course, there's a video. I can't play the video because, again, it's just a snapshot. It's not going to play it. But whatever the case be, you can look more into it if you choose to do so. Maybe through some videos archived on YouTube. But like you see here, enter the trust tag you provided, generate trust tag. Again, using our APIs. I just think this is so huge, and sometimes people don't understand it or take the time on a proper deep dive to basically get into this, and that's okay. Shout out to all you guys who actually stay the course. Most people don't. They click off about roughly, according to my analytics, about 5-6 minutes. So do me solid if you listen to the entire outline and simply type in this key word into the comments, and that is Sentinel, and I'll know that you listen to the entire outline. Yes, I truly believe that Quant QNT will be the most expensive token in history. If you look at it on the surface without doing no research at all, you'd be like, there's no way that is possible. But again, think about this. You are able to get a second chance at BTC at prices are very similar. Right around that $100 range. 2013 BTC was right around the price that you see Quant at, currently speaking, QNT. Now, I understand we're comparing a token to, of course, a coin, but say what you want. What one has more use cases? QNT, compared to BTC's, leaps and bounds ahead. It's literally connecting the new web. And I know I said if you listen to the entire outline, but there's the outline. Saying goes, know what you have. Know why you hold it. Hopefully you do. The research trumps flood, 110%. We'll see you on the next one.
On the crime side, the New York Times side, staying alive was no jive. And secondhand mom's down school, old man. So then we moved to Shaolin Land. Yo, blocking the go-to. Logos, only way I think in the G off was drug news. And let's start it like this, son. Rolling with this one and that one, pulling out gas for fun. But it was just a dream for the team. Who was a fiend, started smoking woolies at 16 and running up in decks and doing hits for high stakes, making my way on fire escapes. No question, I was deep for cracks and weed. The combination made my eyes bleed. No question, I would go up and try to get the dough, sticking up white boys and ball courts. My life got no better, same damn low sweater. Times is rough and tough like leather. Figured I went the wrong route, so I got real sick old click and went all out, catching keys from